On this episode of the Scott Stedman podcast, I'm going to reflect on Meryl Streep's speech over at the Golden Globe ceremony last night. So stay tuned and listen right here on the Scott Stedman podcast.
And this instinct to humiliate, when it's modeled by someone in the public platform, by someone powerful, it filters down into everybody's life because it kind of gives permission for other people to do the same thing. Disrespect invites disrespect. Violence incites violence. When the powerful use their position to bully others, we all lose. Okay, go up with that thing. Okay, this brings me to the press. We need the principled press to hold power to account, to call them on the carpet for every outrage.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Scott Stedman podcast. I don't know what my name is. It's been a long day. It's 4:57 p.m. here in Stanton, Virginia. It is getting warmer. We were in negative the single digits yesterday morning. Ended up having to cancel church service due to the frigid cold weather. But yeah, it's starting to warm up. It was 23 degrees. At least that's what it said in my car. So that's a good sign. I think on Wednesday it's supposed to be like 56 here in good old Stanton, Virginia. So yeah, it's getting warmer, and usually I've seen it snow occasionally a few times here in Virginia since I moved. So there's a part of me that misses the Ohio weather where it's constantly snowing all the time. Not that I enjoy driving in it, but I definitely enjoyed just the snow-covered trees and rooftops, and it was just something that was very beautiful, especially when the sun, the rising or even the setting sun would hit the snow just right. It would just illuminate everything, which I thought was very beautiful. But I'm not here to talk about the weather today. I'm not a weatherman. I'm a podcaster, I guess. I don't know what the official name of a someone who does podcast is. But today I want to talk a little bit about the speech that Meryl Streep presented at the Golden Globe Awards last night. Now, it's very interesting because I didn't watch the Golden Globes, and I think usually it's because of two reasons. A, since my wife and I don't really watch that much TV, and our antenna that we have to our TV doesn't really work, especially being in the valley. We don't really pick up a lot of channels. So sometimes it's very difficult to watch something like the Golden Globes, especially when you only get like 3 or 4 channels that come in, and only like one of them is actually a national broadcast station. The other reason is, I enjoy watching the Oscars, and I know the Golden Globes focus on both television and film, and I think that's great, but I'm just, for some reason, I've really enjoyed watching the Oscars, and even through the little tiny antenna I have on my TV, I'm willing to go through a ton of aluminum foil and stretch that antenna all over the house to be able to get a good channel to be able to watch the Oscars. I know sometimes they have it streaming, but I've never really found a good streaming site that has streamed everything. So hopefully ABC will get on the program and may be able to stream it for free instead of trying to pay for their ABC Go service. But enough of that. Really want to get back to the speech, and I'm really not going to focus on what she said or if there is any accuracy to what she said, but I'm really focusing on the debate that do performers have the right to be able to speak their opinion, especially in a award ceremony setting? And really this question came to mind because first thing this morning, like I pulled up Facebook and saw Meryl Streep was trending, and I just kind of see what she said. But then the other thing that was interesting is a lot of my friends were writing stuff, was sharing what she said, and was kind of writing a little bit of stuff about it, and just kind of the negative feedback coming from people about what Meryl Streep said. And one of the biggest arguments was that Meryl Streep is a performer. She is an actress, and her role is to entertain us as a performer, and she had no right to speak her uh, political opinions on a award show that highlights film and television. And I kind of got the idea that, oh, it's okay for her to maybe speak her political opinion as she was, maybe like on a news station, or even like if she was on a soapbox and was just kind of saying whatever, or even just take to Twitter and Facebook saying, oh, I don't like the president-elect Trump and what he's about and what he's going to do. Those were okay, but because it was an award show, primarily to give awards to actors or actresses for their achievement in their roles that they play, that there should have been no space for politics. And there are some people who were on both sides of the argument. There are some people who are saying, well, art imitates life and life imitates art. So it's a great time for actors to be able to talk about what's on their hearts, what's on their minds, their political position. There are other people who say, well, no, that's not right, because I'm watching an award ceremony to be able to see who won, look at their gowns, see how beautiful they are, and see if my favorite television show or movie won a Golden Globe. And it really, as I'm listening to this conversation, it made me think about an article I read about a month ago, and it had to do with ESPN. And there's this article talking about ESPN and its ratings and how their viewership had dropped. And not only their viewership had dropped, but then even just some public transition of their key personalities that had left the company or was fired from the company. And it was very interesting because what this author wrote, he basically kind of wrote that ever since the award ceremony where they had the Sports Person of the Year, and they gave that award to Caitlyn Jenner, and kind of, in a way, they were ESPN, which is a sports network that talks about sports highlights, and everything they talk about is sports related, started to kind of take more of a political position. And not just because they gave the award to Caitlyn Jenner, but ever since that moment, a lot of politics had been woven into the sports side of things. I think, and I don't know clearly what happened, but I guess Kurt Schilling got let go or fired from the company as a correspondent, basically because he voiced his opinion that was kind of against the, I guess what they would say, the liberal media's point of view. He spoke about something that would kind of fall in favor of the conservative line, and he was punished for that. And they kind of talked about how since the beginning of the year, they have lost over 1 million viewers. And as the author concluded, is that people want to watch ESPN for sports. If they want to watch politics or hear anything about politics, they would watch C-SPAN, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. They would watch the news to talk politics or to learn about politics. But when they want to watch ESPN, they want to escape from all the politics and really focus on the sports. And in a way, I kind of agreed with this author's point of view, but I also can see how, because with it being an election year in 2016, that almost any aspect of news, whether it's music, sports, movies, television, there is going to be some form of political discussion, whether it's someone shouting their political ideas or it's being portrayed in a song or in a television series or a movie. So going back to the question at hand, um, it's very interesting when it comes to the arts, because when we look at theater as an art form, and we go to the movies, we go watch TV, mainly as a mindless way of entertainment. For some people, it's a mindless way of entertainment. They just want to sit on their couch or sit in a movie theater and be entertained by what they're watching. Whether it's their favorite show or a favorite movie, they want to be entertained. So obviously when you watch the Oscars, and usually when I watch the Oscars, most of the time I watch the Oscars because I want to know who won what. The other reason why I watch the Oscars is because, with all the different films and movies coming out, I don't have the money and I don't have the time to see every single movie that's out. So the Oscars is a good way to see, well, hey, these are the films that have been nominated. Maybe these are films that I should check out, mainly as a way to kind of see, like, ooh, this would be something that I would enjoy or I like, since I do like to watch a lot of artsy or international films. So obviously, best international film. Those are the movies. It's like, oh, I should check that out. So in a way, I'm being entertained by this award ceremony. I could care less on what people are wearing. I could care less about some of the jokes or even some of the crazy, wacky things that happen, or the beautiful speeches that the best actor or actress wins. I just want to know what's out there, what wins, what's been nominated, so then that way, if I haven't seen something, that I would like to go and see it. But the thing about, should Meryl Streep have used that platform to speak her political viewpoint, I'm kind of on the line where I think it is appropriate, and here's why. Because film, for me, and just being an actor, you put a lot of your heart and your soul into the performance. As a writer, you not only put your heart and soul into the writing, but any of your certain viewpoints. And especially if you ever have the opportunity to take like a film as literature class, or even just a film analysis class, it'd be a good idea to watch it, because sometimes you can watch a movie that you think is just a mindless form of entertainment. It's just like an action-packed blockbuster. But then you kind of see that from the director's viewpoint and how the actors portrayed those characters, that there's a lot of political undertones. There's a lot of things that make you want to think in a movie. And especially the one thing I've learned over the years is that great theater or great art can do three things. It should entertain you, it should instruct you, and it should move you. So the fact that people say, well, I'm watching a movie or this television show because it's mindless entertainment and I like it. Well, I guess if you're watching some random comedy, or if you're watching, and I don't want to diss any show or television, but something where you would think, oh, this doesn't have like any type of undertones or any type of political undertones or secret messages in this thing that I'm watching. The answer is false. Like, most of the time you are going to have some story elements, and sometimes it could be blatantly obvious, like here's the theme, and other times you have to search for it. And if you allow yourself to go on the ride, it will take you to those places. So I think she was right to say what she needs to say, because there's other times where people have said their piece about, hey, we need to protect these dolphins, or or like Michael Moore. He's notorious for, if he wins an award, he'll go up there and he'll say some type of political thing, or like, oh, I hate George W. Bush, and everyone either cheers or they boo him. It happens. And I think anytime when you're on a public stage, you have those opportunities to do it. And I think, especially Meryl Streep being a very diverse actress, being a very well-liked and a very popular actress who I've worked with many, many people, She has the prestige to be able to say that and to kind of, in a way, reflect not only her thoughts and feelings, but even just by looking at the crowd, seeing how everybody feels the same, or sometimes you can't read people and you go, well, maybe they don't agree with her because they're have their arms crossed, or they're not clapping, or they're not whistling or cheering to what she has to say. But the thing is as an artist, you have the right to be able to portray anything you think and feel in your character. And I know some people like to keep those things separate, but the reality is those parts, your experience, how you were raised, how you grew up, is all part of your identity. And as you portray a character, there's always going to be bits and pieces of you in your character. So obviously you can watch something and you can go, wow, this was very powerful and it makes me feel like this, and it really spoke to me about my life and my situation. And that's great, because that's what it's supposed to do. And I think as everybody, we have our voice to be able to say whatever we want to say, no matter what platform we are on. I think sometimes there's things that Meryl Streep could say that I personally cannot say, because I'm not in that same prestigious category as she is. So ultimately, and what we can learn from Meryl Streep is, do not be afraid to let your voice be heard. However, on the flip side of that, I would say, if you're going to let your voice be heard and somebody is not going to allow you to speak, or they're going to criticize you from speaking your voice, make sure that if there is a debate, do it very fairly and do it lovingly. And if at the conclusion you both still disagree, then agree to disagree. However, if you are arguing with someone and someone is arguing with you, and you go and take the low road by trash talking them, call people a bigot or a racist or homophobic or whatever keyword you like to use, then don't go down that route, because then really all it does is it doesn't help your cause. It actually hurts your cause. And when people go and take the low road, there's no point of trying to have any reconciliation. There's no point in someone to be able to see your side of point of view and be able to go, even though I disagree with your point of view, I understand how you feel and I respect that. And I can even think about, back when the whole Obamacare was just starting up. And I remember my dad was just talking about how much he thought this was a bad idea. Now, my dad's a CPA. He works with numbers. He understands a little bit of kind of how numbers work, how the market works. So from a financial side, him looking at the Obamacare, him looking at how much he makes from his job, and just looking at his age and his household, Obamacare is not a very good plan for him. However, for me and my wife, who just got out of school, who were struggling financially, who has a career as a minister, which is not the highest paid profession in the world, probably one of the lowest paid professions, underneath maybe a school teacher, or probably right there with a school teacher. For me, Obamacare works. It's nice for me to be able to know that my son and my wife and me are covered, and we don't have an outrageous premium to pay. But yet I know some of my other friends who, one particular friend, she's a stylist, her husband's a firefighter, and they have 2 kids, and yet they tried to go through the exchange, and they're saying that they have to pay almost close to $800 a month, which for them is huge, because them paying $800 a month for their premium really means that they have no way to be able to pay for food to eat, or even be able to save for their daughters to go to college, because a big chunk of their money is going into premiums for their health care, and that's not also including the bills that they have to pay when they do go to the doctor or the hospital. Um, so, and I remember just having a discussion with my dad, and when he actually kind of heard what Laura and I had to say and how this does work, when he was able to see how this helps us, he was like, wow, even though I don't like it, even though it doesn't benefit me at all, however, I see how it benefits you guys, and I'm glad that there is something out there that really that benefits you guys, that you're able to get good health care, and that you're able to have money to be able to save for your son's tuition, to be able to pay your bills, pay your student loans, be able to have a little bit of extra money that you can save to, get a new something, or to have a little extra money to pay for a car repair when something goes wrong with the car. And really, it's not that hard. It's not that hard to voice your opinion with someone who is against your opinion and be able to have a nice conversation. But mainly it boils down to humility. It actually boils down to humility and pride. I'll just throw that as one thing. And the other thing is just being able to listen and not continue to speak or interrupt when someone else is talking. Because when we listen to the person, and not only do we hear what they're saying, but we hear their heart and we hear their thought process, we're able to understand them better. So again, that's me saying my heart, my mind, my soul on this whole thing of everything about Meryl Streep and everything that has come up from that. So again, thank you so much for listening. Again, don't be afraid to use your voice, be able to, again, share your thoughts or your ideas. But again, do it with kindness, do it with love, and always try